NorCal Tea Party Radio is sponsored by Del Rapini. Del has been involved with the Tea Party since April of 2009. A retired developer, Del has a passion to serve and restore his country to her fundamental principles. This is just one way that he has chosen to accomplish his goal. Each month we need sponsors to offset the cost of this program. For information on how you can become a sponsor, go to norcalteaparty.org.
Gather here to reunite, join the revolution. We are strong and standing tall, upholding the Constitution.
Welcome back to We the People Radio. NorCal Tea Party Patriots welcomes you here today. Before we get on with our guest again, I want to remind you about our upcoming events that we have. We have our Tax Day Rally that's going to be at the State Capitol on Saturday, April 14th, beginning right at noon, and it will go until 2:30. We will have speakers and music and have a march around the Capitol and a Patriot Freedom Ride as well. For more information, go to our website at norcalteaparty.com. That's norcalteaparty.com. And also just a quick mention that at that rally, we will be launching our bus tour, a 28-stop, 14-day tour through the state of California in hopes to educate the voters about who they're going to be voting for and let them understand who the most conservative candidate is for them to select. We have the opportunity of flipping 11 districts in this state, and we're going to do everything we can to see to it that that happens. We need fiscal conservatives in Sacramento, and right now, we don't have too many. Welcome back, Jim. You're talking to us about the fair tax versus flat tax. I got some more questions for you.
Okay.
Ready? How is this going to affect real wages? The fair tax, how does that affect our real wages? Are we going to have more money to take home? How is this all going to work?
Sure. So real wages are basically talk about the purchasing power of the dollar that you make. As inflation go up, your real wages goes down. So with respect to the fair tax is actually going to help you. If we talk about purchasing power, I've got a great example. So an individual who makes $50,000 a year is going to be in about a 20% tax bracket, so they're going to pay about $10,000 in federal tax. Okay, that makes they're at $40,000 now. If you have to buy widgets, and let's say each widget costs you $1. So just going to my example here real quick. Basically, how many widgets can you buy? And the answer is you can buy 40,000 widgets.
Well, no, because you forgot the state tax.
Well, so if we look at just apples and apples in a comparison, you are going to be able to buy just simply take that. So anyway, you're going to have to be able to buy about 40,000 widgets. Under the fair tax, you make $50,000, you keep the $50,000. Okay. Plus, one person would get the prebate of roughly, I think, $2,500 in a year. So now you got $52,500 in your pocket. Let's say that widgets go up. We haven't talked about the fair tax rate. To be revenue neutral, it's designed to be 23%. If you compare it to a typical sales tax, call it 30%. So let's say that widgets go up to $1.30 each. If you buy widgets, if you have $52,500 and buy widgets at $1.30 each, you can buy more widgets than you can buy under the current system. So your purchasing power is ultimately going up with the fair tax. The other thing is economists are predicting with the boom in the economy, with all the money coming back to the United States, that would actually reduce the inflation rate. So again, your real wages ultimately should go up.
Is this going to, now I have heard this argument in the past that if we instituted something like this, then the federal government would not have enough money to run on, and oh my, maybe they'd have to come back home, or maybe they'd have to cut some spending somewhere. Oh, slap my face. Would that be, is that true? Is it that we can't really generate enough income with a fair tax?
That's absolutely not true. The fair tax is designed to be revenue neutral. And in terms of doing the calculations of what would the national retail sales tax have to be to fund the government to the level that it's running today, and we can argue whether that's enough or too much. Ultimately, the fair tax at 23% is revenue neutral.
And explain revenue neutral.
Meaning the federal government is taking in the same amount of income as they do under the current system. So we're funding the government to the same level that they're funded today.
What if we don't want to fund them to the same level we're funding them today?
I personally would agree with that, but we're not trying to fight that battle with the FairTax. The FairTax is a nonpartisan bill. It is, and that's obviously an issue that would be argued on the Democrat side, that we need to have perhaps more funding or whatever. So we're just trying to keep it neutral and make it easy to pass. So after the FairTax goes into place, there's actually things in the FairTax that reduce government. One of them is the IRS going away. There are other elements of the FairTax that should reduce government. So if government gets smaller, perhaps we could reduce the rate.
Wouldn't that be nice? Okay, another question for you on with this method of taxation. How would that affect mortgages and interest deduction or the cost of buying a home?
Sure.
Are you going to pay 23% more for buying a home?
So first, realize that used items are not taxed under the fair tax. So if you're buying a used home, a home that has been sold or lived in before, there is no national retail sales tax on that. Realize if you're buying a new home, imagine that all the products that are being purchased in order to build that home are being purchased tax-free, so that reduces the cost of a new home as well. So, both of those things mean that it really shouldn't go up the 23% that people are thinking, or 30% that people are thinking. Number two, with respect to a mortgage deduction, the whole concept of deductions doesn't make sense under the fair tax. The deductions are against income. Okay, you get 100% of your income anyway. So ultimately, the mortgage deduction doesn't make any sense, and nor do any of the other deductions that are being lobbied, to Congress. So, but ultimately, it goes back to the question of purchasing power. Mm-hmm. And under the fair tax, 99% of Americans are actually better off in paying less tax than they are today. To be honest, the fair tax is fundamentally a tax on wealth, not wages. So it's the people that are spending a lot of money who are paying more tax.
And those people who have unreported income that are spending money are going to wind up paying taxes.
Because they're buying things.
That's right.
Exactly.
Oh,
By the way, tourists are also contributing to our taxes because they're coming to the United States and buying things as well.
So they'd be contributing on the federal level. They already contribute in states that have sales tax.
True.
Okay. Is this burdensome on the poor? I know you mentioned a rebate. Can you explain that better?
Sure. So the fair tax is absolutely not burdensome on the poor and the middle class. The fair tax helps the poor and the middle class. First of all, you have the prebate. The prebate is reimbursing people to the poverty level for the spending, the tax that they would pay on spending. I want to also point out that that is in no way an entitlement. It is money that you have to spend in order to live, so you would be getting it back.
Now, is that on a monthly basis or a yearly basis?
It is. It's called a prebate, which is not a word that we hear very often. I think it might be a made-up word, but the concept is it's like a rebate, but it comes to you at the beginning of the month. It is based on your family structure. So how many people are living in your house? Are they adults or are they children? This is something you have to apply for. You have to show valid Social Security numbers.
You have to be legal.
You have to be here legally. If you don't apply for it, you don't get it. If you don't have legal Social Security numbers, you don't get it. But it is sent to you in the form of a check or direct deposit into your bank account. So that basically reimburses you for the tax that you would pay on a annual basis. If you take an example of a family of four who is spending about $60,000 a year, they would end up paying about, I think it's 12.5% tax under the fair tax when you consider the prebate. Okay,
real quick. How can we help with this? We need to do something.
Absolutely. So there's several things that you can do. First, if you go to fairtax.org, you can sign up on fairtax.org. You can study the bill more there. Secondly, it's critical that we let our congresspeople know to support the fair tax. It's H.R. 25 in the House. It's S13 in the Senate. Please call your congressman, send them a letter, send them an email, let them know that you want them to support the fair tax. The third thing is, I'm the California State Director. I need help in California. I would love for people to get a hold of me. You can reach me at noirs@fairtax4ca.org.
Say that again.
That's noirs@fairtax4ca.org. So Jim Donnell, I'd love to get as much help as I can.
Well, you'll be speaking at one of our meetings soon, too, and so we'll be getting that information out to everybody. Again, that's fairtax.org. You want to let your congressman know, H.R. 25 and S13, and go to Jim's website and sign up to help him. I want to thank you for listening today. This always goes by so fast. A couple other things we want to wrap up. We want to thank Del Rapini again for being our sponsor and for caring so much about getting the message out. Next week, our guest is going to be Linda Greas, and it's going to be talking about voter fraud. You may think that in your little community you have none. Well, believe me, you do. So have a great day. Have a great Sunday. Thank you for listening to KTKZ 1380 Radio. We the people. Have a great day.
Gather here to reunite. Join the revolution. We are strong and standing tall, upholding the Constitution.
How to get involved? Individuals who want to become part of the NorCal Tea Party Patriots by attending meetings, events, or receiving action alerts, go to our website at norcalteapartypatriots.org. By signing in as a member, you'll receive our newsletter and action alerts. So get involved. NorCalTeaPartyPatriots.org.